So now that we have our car imported, let's start working on the actual mechanics. So first, before we do anything, let's go inside this car blueprint, and here we're going to add a few things so our wheels are actually animated. So if you remember the last time, we went and changed the parent class to vehicle animation instance. So if you did not do that, do it now. And we need here the wheel controller for wheeled vehicle, and let's connect that to the output pose. And the next thing that we'll need is mesh space reference pose, and let's connect this in here. So now our wheels should work. Next thing that we need to do is to connect our car. So the name of our car would be SKM Sports Car. Now we have a few ways to add this. We could just use our content browser and add in here, or just search it from the drop-down menu. And after that we need to add our animation blueprint, so it's called the new car. Now let's compile and save. In the viewport we should see our car. Next thing that we need to do is click on the vehicle movement component, and we need to set up the wheels. So first we need to add 4 wheels in here, and let's open it up so we can actually see what is happening. And here we need our bone names, so we need to set up basically our 4 wheels here. So to see our bone name, we need to go inside our skeletal mesh and then go to our skeleton, and in here we can see our 4 bones. And in the order that we should set this up is forward left, forward right, back left, and back right basically. So if we click on any of the bones, we can right click and then copy selected bone names. With this we can just paste it in here. You can also paste it here and then do FR, and then we can also do BL and BR. And just to make sure, we can go back and see if everything is right. Seems fine. Now that we set up the wheels, we need to change the wheel class, and this is what we created in here. So we have back and front wheel. So let's click in here and let's click on the front wheel. Same thing in here, and then we have 2 back wheels. Now this should be fine for the wheels. Of course, if your wheels are not rotating properly left and right, you might have to change additional offset in here. So if for some reason in the game it does not rotate the right way in here, you could just change your your additional offset basically to kind of offset it on the y-axis. Okay, after we did this, let's now set up the input bindings. So if I click in here and click on the project settings, we can go into input in here, and let's add our action and axis mappings. So action mappings are basically just like a press of a button. So you have pressed and released button events, but axis mappings are a bit more complicated. Since we are using matrix city sample, we already have handbrake, so we can leave this here. Basically what you need to do is just click plus, name the new action handbrake, and then click in the drop down menu and just search for the spacebar. You could basically just type without spacebar and it will pop out. And in here we have similar things where we have our move forward and move right, and this look right and look up are basically for the mouse, but for right now we won't use this. So same thing in here, click plus, name the new axis mapping to move forward. Now this one is important, is if you are doing this on the keyboard, you need to create, so let's actually create one from scratch just to show you what I mean here. So let's do MF for move forward, and now you have only this, and we can type W So we get the W key on the keyboard. And this scale is important because what happens in the axis mapping that is different from the actual mapping is that in axis mapping, you can define this scale, this variable that is attached to the button, that when you click W, this scale is set to 1, and then we can add another one, which is S in our case, and we can set this to -1. So when we click S, the -1 variable is sent, and then we can basically define what happens when you click when this variable is 1 or -1, which is kind of already done inside Unreal, inside their template for the cars. Another input that we need to add is brake, since throttle or move forward won't do everything. There is also set brake input that will be important. So let's click plus on the axis, let's type brake, and let's set the keyboard to S, and let's leave scale to 1. So next thing, let's open our car blueprint. And first, before we do anything, let's add our spring arm. And let's add our camera. So now we are going to use this spring arm to define, let's say 800, how far our camera is from the car, and maybe even rotate it a bit so we get some top view from this. And in camera, let's do just one thing, and that is enable rotation lag. Put it to maybe, let's say 4. To just have a bit of lag with the camera when we are rotating. Now this should be it for this. So let me close all of the other assets. Now let's go into event graph. And in here, we need to set up some basic things. So first thing that we have, let's actually open our input mappings again. So first thing that we have is this move forward. So if you just type the name, move forward, you'll get this axis events. And if you click on this, you get our input and our value, which can be -1 and 1 right now, but you can actually put any other values. So let's say you want X on the keyboard to set it to 0.5. You could do that if you want, but for our purposes, we don't need anything that specific. The next thing that we need is our vehicle movement component. And from here, we can take out something that's called set throttle input. And this is basically if you're going to move forward or brake. But we also have another, let me actually increase the size of this. We actually have also handbrake, if you remember, from action events that are already created. And in here, we can basically pull from here and set handbrake input. And for simplicity, we can just duplicate this, and then when we release, we want it to not handbrake. And of course, we need to connect the target. Next, we need move right. And this one will set the steering, so we can type, actually we have to pull from the movement component, set steering, and we can do the same thing. So this is kind of simplified. If you did like a whole car system from scratch, it wouldn't just be one function and one variable. But since we already have it created, we're just going to use it. And let's click right click, type a brake. So we need our new brake event. And from vehicle movement component, we can set brake input. So we have handbrake and brake, which are two different things. And if we connect this, now we should also have the brake input. Now that we have this, let's put the car in the scene and see if it drives or not. So I'm going to rotate it to go towards the road. And let's just check if our tires are not too much inside the road. So I forgot a few things before we start running the game. So first thing that we need to do is just disable a few things because we are in the Matrix City sample, which already has few things in there. So first thing that we need to do is change the default game mode to game mode base, so we have kind of default settings so we don't automatically create new character. And we also need to change the game instance to just default game instance. Before it was city sample game instance, or this would BP city sample. After that, you will want to click on your car and type possess in here, and then you'll find this auto possess player and you need to set it to player 0. So when we click play, we know which character to take control of. So after you do that, you can click play, and then we can see if our controls work. And now you can see that we are driving our car. We of course cannot rotate our camera, but our tires are working and we can go forward, left and right basically. So let's click escape. And if you have some problems with running the project, just keep in mind you need to change this auto possess player, and also if you have not set the simulate physics to true. And that's basically it. You should be able to run the project.